Hi, Adam. This is Bob from Machinery Values. I work with John. We worked on this machine together, and I just want to go over a couple of finer points that we didn't go over in the video that I think you want to see and understand a little bit more. So right now, I have the chuck on. I have my table stops set, and the wheel is at its home position. This is where it's going to travel to each time you finish your cycle. It's only maybe 4 inches off of the chuck, but it does go automatically to move off of the chuck to the end of the travel here. So I'm going to go ahead and start this cycle to go. So now we have the table moving in. Moving in from the park position or from the home position. And now we're going to get between the two proximity switches here and start to go back and forth in this little stroke. The stroke is only about 1 inch. It's the same stroke that we showed you in the other video we made for you. So right now this over here is not feeding down until I come over here and start the down feed. Now I have this, you can select automatic down feed with continuous feed, which means it won't stop at 0, it'll just keep feeding. Or you can select automatic sizing, which when you start this, you're going to have the green light. And now each time the machine reverses, you're going to see that we feed down here. And that amount is adjusted with this thimble adjustment up there. You can make it pretty fine. That's a very small movement. At the same time, this wheel is connected to this one. They move together. But this one actually has a dial that you can set for your actual stock removal. So when this does get to 0, you'll see the light in the front is going to go off. So now the light is off. So now it's doing a series of spark out passes. Right now it's doing 2 spark out passes. That's there and back. And then the chuck itself shuts off, and the machine and the wheel also shuts off. And then this is going to go to its park position. The wheel does not raise up. It shuts off. And the chuck shuts off. So what you need to do now to start this machine up again is you need to turn the work head off. There's a selector switch on the side of the electrical cabinet, and I'm going to explain that to you in a minute. But you need to turn this off. And you have to remove this dial because it doesn't back up. It stays on the 0 position. So this needs to be backed up manually. You manually have to back your part up, and then you'll see that this table direction light goes out. So once you back up off that switch, that will allow you to start your grinding wheel. Had I left that on 0, and I'm sure you're going to make the same mistake, you're going to say to yourself, oh, why won't the wheel start? Just make sure you came off of 0. You have to physically drive this wheel up. All right, every part you grind, every job, you're going to have to hand set this up. And at the end of the grind, you're going to have to back this up enough to compensate for the backlash, which there is backlash, but you're always going to be grinding down. So when you're grinding to 0, it's always going to be 0. But you have to be aware that there's going to be backlash going up. So you've got to go up enough to get above all that. So now at this point you can start your table. So you need to, because you can't start this yet. It won't let you start the longitudinal unless the chuck is running. So once you press that button, you're going to hear the relay in the cabinet, but there's a secondary switch that has to be turned on. This is actually turning on the variable speed drive. So you see, once I turn that on, we get the chuck going. And the reason why we have that second switch, or why that second switch is there, is because when I shut this off, with the chuck running, now you can start your table moving. We're going to come from the park position and we're going to feed to the point where it's going to traverse in between these dogs, or wherever you have those two dogs set. Okay, so now it's just going to go back and forth. Normally, you can't move the saddle unless you have the chuck running. So that's why they have a switch here, so I can actually shut my chuck off and still have the saddle running. Why? Because you need to mount a diamond on here to dress your stone wheel. There's no over-the-wheel dresser, or there's no other kind of dresser. So the way they would dress this wheel is they would put a dresser right on that magnet and come down with the wheel by hand and dress the wheel. Now, if you're using a diamond wheel, which you probably will, then you don't need to concern yourself with that. But I just wanted to point that out. So now we can start the chuck. And once we come down, you know, get to our part. You can only come down by hand. There's no jogging down. There's no rapid down. The rapid down will only work if the chuck is off, if the table is off, the saddle is stopped, and the grinding wheel is off. That's the only condition that this will allow you to go up or down with these rapid buttons, and I'll show you that. So right now it's going back and forth. So as soon as I come down around here, and I'm going to just touch my workpiece. I'm almost touching it. I'm going to say, okay, I'm going to stop there. There's my 0 at the red line. Now I'm going to start my feed. I'm going to feed off 5/10 or thousandths, whatever amount this is here. And you can select whether you want to feed on both sides, or just the outside, or just the inside. Right now I'm feeding on both the inside and the outside. So we're coming down to 0 here. And when we get to 0, the light will go out. And there's a counter in the back of the cabinet that you set how many of these spark out passes you want. When it's done, it's going to shut the wheel and the chuck off. There it goes. And then it goes to its park position. So on your job, you really can't have this happen, or you're going to crash. So you have to think of another way around this. The only way to use the automatic down feed is to have it end the way it's ending now. There's no way to eliminate that part of the cycle from the automatic down feed. If you want to do all your feeding by hand, that's fine. You feed in, but you can have your table going, you can have your chuck going, and you feed down by hand. And when your part is done, you're going to have to zip this up by hand. I just wanted to point that out. Let's see, what else? Okay, so the cycle is over, the wheel stopped, the chuck stopped. So now what do? All right, so now you put your new parts on there, and you'll notice that this light is still on, and it's not really supposed to be on, but you say, okay, I know my hydraulic pump is on, let's start the wheel. Wheel doesn't want to start. Now you don't know what to do. What's going on? Can I go up? Can I go down? I can't do nothing. It's because you're still on the switch here. You have to come off of that, one way or the other. And when you do, the cycle actually ends and this light goes off, and now I can start my wheel, or go up or down. This is the only condition that you can use the rapid, is when the hydraulics is on and nothing else is. Only the pump is on, which is this little lubrication pump, and also the pump that makes this feed mechanism work. So only like this can you go up or down. And now there is an over travel limit switch. You can only go so high, or you can run this thing right off the screw. There's a little red line here just to keep an eye on. That's the limit. It's going to hit a limit switch on the other side, and you will no longer be able to go up any higher. You'll just be able to come down. So to start it now, we start up the grinding wheel. You still can't start your table unless you start the chuck first. All right? In order to start the chuck first, you have to have this turned off. Okay? I know this is a lot of stuff. If you have this turned on and you go to start this, you're going to get an error on the variable speed drive, and you're going to have to shut the entire machine off and then turn it on again with this shut off. So you got to always remember to have that off. Now you can turn that on, and then you can turn this on. I want to show, let's bring the camera around here. Inside the electrical cabinet, there's this little counter here. I have it set right now for 2. And those are the 2 empty passes, the 2 spark out passes. You can set this to go as high as 99. 99. Alright, so 99 spark out passes is going to give you a long time. So if we go back around over here, we're all ready to go here. We got our chuck going, our wheel is going, so we're going to hit any one of those table switches. It's still going to go in the right direction at this point. Once you get this thing going in between the 2 stops, you can change the direction just by hitting either one of those buttons. And of course, these control the speed of the table and the chuck. Alright, so now we're going to go back and forth there, and we're going to bring our wheel down to just above our workpiece, a couple of thousandths. We're going to take off. And I'm going to start my down feed. Now we're going to see this thing feed down to 0. But this time when it gets to 0, it's not going to make 2 spark out passes and want to shut off and move out. It's going to sit there for quite a while trying to make 99 passes. And it's within that time there that you have to raise your wheel off your workpiece and you know, get off of your part. Otherwise, I don't see how you're going to do it. You just have to be careful. So now we see the light has gone out, and we're just going to continue going back and forth and back and forth. Now you could do that until you're ready to come off your part, and then you're gonna have to stop the chuck, because if the chuck is running, you can't do anything. So you have to stop the chuck. And you also have to stop the table. Then you need to stop the wheel. And now you can raise it up. If I'm off the switch. Okay. That's stopping the chuck. And now you can raise it up. That's the only way I can think of to do that job that you sent down here. You let it finish its automatic down feed cycle. You set the spark out counter so it counts a whole lot. When you're ready, you back it off a little bit, or just shut the wheel off. I mean, you have to stop you can back it off your part so you don't burn it or whatever. Back it off your part by hand, then shut off your chuck, shut off your wheel, and raise it up. God forbid if you go down. So that's an important thing to know. What else did we want to tell you about? Over here you have your lubrication. This is actually coming directly from this little pump here. It has a reservoir in the base, and it's going to these 4 ways, these 4 boxways on this machine. And if you turn this up very little, it gets a lot of lubrication. I don't know where it's at, so I wrote on the tag here, you know, to unscrew this. This is all nice and clean. Unscrew this, pull it back, and see for yourself how much oil you're getting, and find out a way to mark this or secure it so it doesn't move. This is a single shot hand pump lubricant that goes up to the top, and it goes to the two sideways of the column and down inside to the feed screw, and for the infeed for these dials here, these mechanisms. These are tied together in there with some gearing. I think that's pretty much about it. I hope that will be helpful, and thank you very much.